It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Man, it is super exciting to be sitting here with Larry White, the CEO of Toshiba Business USA, and I'm at their big annual meeting. And by the way, this is the first time they got together for this annual meeting in like 5 years, so that was a big deal for Toshiba. But it was a great event, and I wanted to ask Larry some questions. So, Larry, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
It's my pleasure. So I do have one ask. So can we rename this episode as End of the Day with Larry?
I think we could do that.
Well, I think it has a good ring to it, don't you?
End of the day with Ray and Larry.
No, Larry gets top billing. Larry.
I don't think we can do that.
All right,
because
all right,
I worked
all right,
really hard on the ring.
All right.
All right, end of the day with Ray and Larry. Here we go. Larry, it's fantastic to see you, man.
Thank you.
So 5 years since you had a meeting.
Yep.
So that's got to be exciting for you to see the family.
Yes,
and
it
I
is.
think you guys really portray the fact that all of your partners, whether those are their vendor partners or whether those are dealers, you are a big family, and you could really sense that with the meeting. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you go back 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing, you kind of forget what it's all about, you know? And then getting everybody back together again, you've got that energy that you just don't get, attending, just a regional meeting or anything else. You got everybody back in the same room, and they're all excited. You just can't beat it. It's inspiring. It's inspiring to me.
Now, I will say this. They haven't had a meeting in 5 years, so I have to ask you a question right off the bat. Hopefully Larry doesn't get mad at this question. But Larry, yesterday, I don't know if you were trying to sell the audience or you, but you talked a lot about the, relevance of print.
Yeah.
And I thought that to be a little bit interesting. A lot of your OEM colleagues out there kind of dismiss print a little bit. And you know me, on the end of the day with Ray, I mean, some people think the world's ending with print.
Oh, yeah, you're a huge advocate of print.
Well, it's never been, in my opinion, it's never been about print going away or the paperless office. Those are stupid comments, and when people say that, it's so unrealistic that people dismiss it. I always thought the real threat was the decline in the output, and when the decline in the output reaches a certain point, we can't monetize it like we did 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that causes all the reasons why we need to diversify.
100%.
But I did notice you guys did talk a lot about hardware, and give me some thoughts around that, because it's very different. I mean, I've been to some OEM shows or where OEMs will set up at a BTA meeting or another event, and they don't even bring the hardware.
Right.
And you guys really put an effort to show.
We do, because you saw in one of Kerrison's presentations, by the way, is how important hardware is in a software solution. Mm-hmm. I mean, she used the Peloton example, right, where Peloton was nobody, and partly because of COVID, but partly because of some unique and brilliant marketing and putting technologies together, you had the software or the cloud driving hardware revenues, right? And that's there's still that strategy around print hardware also. It's a key part of any strategy, whether it's just printing the physical print or whether you want to move into the software solution side of it. So it's all interconnected. Well, I think the industry is losing that thought, right? There is still definite value for the print hardware and the advantages it brings.
Well, I will tell you this. So one of the things I caught, tell me if I'm wrong, because I get old, sometimes I forget, but it seems to me you had 26% growth in dealer revenue.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if you had 26% growth in dealer revenue, probably a good reason to continue pushing the hardware.
Yes.
Where do you think you can go with your growth? Seriously, I mean, can you have double digit in the 20% for the next 2 years?
Oh God, no. Okay. That's not the expectation. And that's, by the way, I would love to, but I'm a realist, right? I'm pragmatic, and I understand that you can only grow so fast. And part of that's again rebound from COVID, right? Part of that's catch up from the supply chain issues. But I still think there is definitely the ability to have double digit growth. 26%, no, but double digit, yeah, absolutely think that's a possibility.
So let me talk about this JVC thing. It's been a lot of talk. I don't want to redo everybody's talk on it, but I thought of something about this. So Ricoh held an 85% equity. You guys have 15%. Right. So I was doing some simple math, and I really believe there's going to be two more players that come in at 15% each, which would still leave Ricoh 55%.
Right.
Ricoh being a $13-14 billion company, I think that was probably their goal. So is there more players coming in? Do you know that?
I don't know that, but let's talk about the pragmatics of it, right? Whether I think its units decline over a period of time, you can't manufacture product and manufacture product profitably if the volumes get to a certain level, and that's the value in this JV. Between Ricoh and us, we have around a 30% global market share. That's bigger than anybody else. And at some point, I truly believe we will have other partners join it. I don't know when, I don't know who, but I just think it makes sense that at some point that will happen.
Well, I talked about it about a year ago, and I don't see the OEMs buying each other. And the reason of that is because of all the conglomerates, sideline businesses. It's too complicated.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
And
with
so
you.
I think when you look at manufacturing, it just makes sense. So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. And let me ask you about your whole cloud platform. So you have some competitors out there that have some cloud applications or apps or whatever you want to call them, and they allow the users to use those without the hardware.
Right.
Do you see where Toshiba will have some of these cloud services that you're selling where you don't even need to have the device?
Good question. Right now, so again, remember this is an iPaaS strategy that we're implementing, and it just makes sense that it fits on the hardware because that's the most simplistic device it can fit on, right? And most efficient device it can fit on. You have to also remember that when you think about hardware just isn't. It's just not an MFP or a printer anymore. It's kind of almost an edge type device. And there's a lot of applications you can put on an edge device that is useful for the entire business. So for right now, for our strategy is yes, just put it on. It's going to be on the device because that makes sense. Also drives hardware sales, which isn't a bad thing. But as a future, who knows what the future is going to bring? But it certainly is not outside the realm of possibility.
Well, I think you showed a lot of value in the products themselves. I went through your product fair.
Yeah.
You another thing that's kind of unique with you or Toshiba is you had a lot of vendors in there. I mean, we had Brother in there, and obviously Lexmark's been supporting you guys for a long time. You've had a partnership with that.
Yeah.
I saw Kip was in the room, and it's all these other people. So how do those relationships, how will they be affected by the venture with Ricoh?
They won't be affected at all. Okay. At least the way I see it. As long as I'm around, they won't be affected.
So they
at all.
see Toshiba, you run your thing. The only thing we're doing together is manufacturing.
So look at us in the most simplistic term. We're a distribution company in its most simple manner, right? Mm-hmm. And we have our marketing strategy has been an agnostic strategy for years. We have partnerships with HP, like I said, Brother, Lexmark, Kip, just so many different people out there, and it's a strategy that works for us when we're meeting customers' needs, and it's a very successful strategy for us, and in all parts of our business. So I don't see that changing at all because that's a key part of our implementation and success strategy that we've got going forward.
Well, one of the things I found really interesting, you hired a new COO, Steve.
Yes.
Super smart guy. He gave a great presentation, but he's not a big fan of IT services. And I've been talking about this for a long time, that OEMs should not be engaged in things that they don't make because they're OEMs.
Right.
And I guess it was a welcome to hear a leader in an OEM share why. But from your perspective, here you are, an OEM president. You're looking at all your peers; they're all jumping into all this IT stuff. Why are you comfortable with Steve's decision?
Oh, I'm 100% comfortable with that. So first off, Steve was a dealer owner, and he tried it and wasn't successful at it. So that's kind of the first test. The other piece is we did test it in a couple of our branches and really couldn't make money at it. We for whatever reason, maybe we weren't any good at it, but it wasn't successful for us. But the other key part of it is what value do I bring as an OEM to dealers if I'm in that business? The dealer's already in it. What more am I going to bring to a dealer that's going to help their business? I'm having a tough time crossing that bridge and figuring it out. Maybe I'm not very smart.
No, but I think you're spot on. I mean, if you think about it, if you form a relationship with ConnectWise, and I'll be the first to say, and ConnectWise is obviously the largest PSA tool for the IT sector. I think they got 20,000 companies that use that. So I can just engage with them on my own. I don't need to go through my OEM to engage with them, and I don't really see any benefit either. I think it's a waste of time and kind of drags you down. The other thing I want to ask you is, when you talked about the hardware, I didn't see any big giant boxes. And I know there's some folks out there that think that production print is a diversification. I think it's a total distraction. But what is Toshiba's position on that? I mean, do you look to partner with someone so you could bring high-end production into the marketplace?
So right now we do partner with Sharp on in that relationship. It's on a black and white high-end product. We're very successful with it, but it's not the end all for us, right? It'd be nice to have that if it works out and we could partner with somebody, but it's not enhancing or distracting from our business one way or another. We're moving in a lot of other different directions than high-end print, and it's for those that are moving that direction, that's great. I hope you're successful. I'm sure you will be successful. But us, we're doing so many other things that if we're going to invest our money, we want to invest in money that we can make more money at and be a successful company and provide value to our shareholders and to our customers.
Well, one thing that, Toshiba Tech, like a lot of the folks in our space, had some issues during COVID shortly after. You guys are coming back now. Your operating profit is respectable.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
Obviously, it could be more, and I think you know that. You shared that in your own presentation. But when I'm looking at the OEMs in general, and it seems to me the ones that are going too far outside their scope, or what I believe they're trying to do too much. You can't be everything to everybody, kind of thing. And it's driving. It's killing them, and we can't sacrifice operating profit for a fantasy or something we think we might be able to do.
Or just revenue for the sake of revenue.
Yeah. So there's one thing that I found very interesting, and it was I think it was in Steve's presentation, but if I read this right, you have one executive team that manages both direct and dealers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so because that's
executive management team.
Yes,
yeah.
Because that's very interesting to me. Because a lot of times, I think some of the OEMs they get into the war battles or the turf battles, if you will, or the fiefdoms.
Yeah.
And I don't. When I talk to the dealers, they're not threatened by you and your direct operation.
Yeah.
They're not threatened by DSMs, or they're just. It seems to me that everybody's on the same page to go out and try to sell more hardware.
Right.
So what was the decision that made you do that?
Well, so that's been a long history with us, right? So if you go back and look at our reputation, it goes back years where we have a great relationship between dealer and direct. And there's going to be conflict at times, but it's how you handle that conflict that develops a trust with the dealer community. And we've always had that trust, and having the right people in the right positions is the key part, right? So you've got Kirsten in marketing, Bill Mello in marketing, who everybody knows and respects also. Steven Sowers, the CRO. I mean, so you've got a great group of people that understand the business and understand the value of the dealer channel and the value of a direct channel. And that's how we operate our business.
Well, I think it was Kristen. And how long has she been with you?
4 years.
Okay, so she said something that I don't even know if she realized how profound it was, but I like the quotes, people, but she said this. She said the competition's not another OEM. The competition's the decline in print. And that was just so powerful.
Yeah.
And then she backed it up with the Peloton story. I'm just going to share, Larry mentioned it, but she was talking about that she used to have just a treadmill, and that was all it was a treadmill. And when she got the Peloton program, well, the treadmill was the same. It was a piece of hardware, but it was the Peloton software that brought the extra value.
Yeah.
And obviously we saw what happened to the world's largest treadmill manufacturer. They got just beat to hell by Peloton.
Overnight.
Yeah, so I think that was an interesting...
Yeah, and trust me, with Kirsten, it wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
It is. She's very well thought out.
Yeah, that was a very, very interesting, very astute. Well, Larry, this has been a great time, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Do you want to wrap this up with anything?
I just appreciate you being here, giving us the time. I appreciate your thoughts, and look forward to seeing you again, my friend.
Well, I can't wait to go to the next meeting.
Here we go.
Because everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. I'll see y'all later.